Okay guys, I just wanted to take a minute and cover some questions that you guys have been asking me. And most of it's because I didn't make a follow-up video for you from the previous video I did on shaving the door handles and how I came to what you see. And I'm truly sorry for that, because to be honest with you guys, I do have a lot of footage that covers that, but I got so set back that I ran out of space or my battery would die that I just kept on working because I just wanted to get this thing done. Because like I said, I can't really work on anything mechanical and get all greasy when I'm performing body work. And I could, but it's just the time it would take me twice as long. So I'm pretty much dedicating this week to get this thing done. So what I'm going to do is just, since I don't have this feather filled or primed, I want to show you pretty much what these levels are. As you can see here, you got a few different colors. You notice the blue is your fender pretty much. We'll just think of the blue as the fender. The black is the door glass or Bondo glass or whatever you're using. What it is, it's a fiber-filled filler. It's pretty much twice as strong as Bondo. It's a really durable, and it's used on metals, fiberglass, and repairs that are a heavier build. And some of these, what I was calling potholes, like this one here, it's close to a 16th thick. Guys, if this was metal, I would have worked it out a little bit and then glazed it. But to be honest with you, I don't have time to work with fiberglass and recreate this fender per se. So I just door glassed it, and then over top of that is what you see. It's a poly glaze. It's a glaze that covers the imperfections of the door glass, because that's a more coarser type, grittier. So there's a lot of imperfections when you sand it down. Even though a lot of it comes out smooth, you still got to glaze it to get it perfect. So pretty much, like if you go back to the door handles, after we bonded it, I went over with the door glass, and then I took my air angle grinder pretty much, yeah, this is pretty much the setup I used. And it's a red pad. I'm not really sure what course, what the fineness is of that or whatever. And I just pretty much knocked the door glass down, because that's a real hard stuff to sand. If you try sanding it by hand, you'll be there all day. So I just knocked that down, get it close, and then I start leveling it with a block. And that's why I want to cover most here, guys, because a lot of times, like when I first started doing this, my most common mistake, and I used to get hollered at all the time by either my father or the guy that was teaching me, is I had a habit of just grabbing a piece of sandpaper, putting it in my hand, and just going to town with it, because I felt like I was going with the contour of the fender. Man, this thing's going to be perfect. And then they'd come in and look at it, they'd rub their hand down it, and I'm going to show you another thing. If you put a paper towel in your hand, it'll glide a lot easier, and you can feel all the imperfections. And they'd come in here and they pretty much going to use this piece of paper towel. They pretty much come in here and they feel it, and it should be nice and smooth, just like this one. I don't feel any kind of ripples, no transition from the filler to the fender. Everything's feathered out. But what happens, guys, if you go using your hand, now some people could do it really good without getting ripples, but you have different pressure points. So say this is the sandpaper, like I might be pushing harder on one finger than the other, and I could be creating ripples. And a lot of people will just sit there and go in circles, sand down, sand in different directions, feather it out, switch sides, knock it down, but use a block. Or on something like this, you use a longboard. So that takes me to the next step. As you can see here, I got two different type of sanding blocks. This is what they call a longboard, and as you can see, it's rigid, and it doesn't work very well on a contoured fender. Some people could work it, but I don't know if you can see that, guys, but I can take and roll this. So if I go sanding it, my surface, my contact point is only like right here. So I'm going to have this major flat spot on that fender. So there's some guys that can work it really well, even on a contour fender. But for me, I'm not talented enough to do a curvature fender. Some people say they could do it, but on my doors, since they're flat, I can go to town with that thing and it comes out perfect. And you cover a big surface. So what you do, this one here is a Dura block. There's a few different manufacturers. You can get some better ones. I've seen some real nice ones that have actually rods that stiffen it up. But as you can see, it's pretty much a rubber block, and it forms the shape of that fender. Very, very neat tool. And that's pretty much how I get to the point where I got. Because if you take a look, now I got the arc of the fender. So right here is my good spot. You know, these spots are the same height. And I have a low spot there in the middle. So now, once I got that filled with a Dura glass, knocked down, and I'm got my coarse paper on here, I got like my 40 or 60 grit. We'll say 60, we don't want to get too crazy with the fiberglass. And we got this pushed against. Now we have our contour that we're after. We go sanding away on this thing, different directions, you know, going to town, keeping our arch. It's going to knock that down to the same height because we're using a nice block instead of just working our fingers in that one area where you might take out all your Bondo or your Dura glass or your glaze and still end up with a low spot. So you're constantly putting stuff on and off, on and off. So use a block, guys. If you come away with anything and you've never done body work before, you're wondering how to get to this point, there you have it, guys. That'll give you some perfect results. And you sand it down, then you glaze it, put your glaze on, go over it. You could, from there you could put some guide coat on it. Just take some black paint, some cheap black paint, just mist it over it. Get your finer paper, like 400, put it on there, and just go to town. And wherever you see that black left over, it'll show up all your low spots, your sand marks, and things of that nature. Don't mind me sweating, guys. It's very hot in here. And that's pretty much all I got for you today. I'm going to give you another angle so you could get a better shot of these blocks. But if you're going to be doing some body work, or even scuffing down a car where you got a curvature, as you can see, it follows the curvature. You can really work it, guys, and this gets the job done very nice. As you can see with the flat board, a lot of people end up in flat spots, and it's going to show up. You might not feel it; it might just feel like a little dimple, but when you paint it, guys, you're going to see it. Okay, guys, I just wanted to give you one more angle on this demonstration. As you can see with the flat board, like I was saying, I'm holding this side flat, and you can see it doesn't follow the curvature, so it's seesawing on here. So my contact points, if I go sanding that down, if I keep on moving, you know, I'll probably achieve what I want to achieve, but it's not going to be, at least I can't get it as good as I can with a flexible block, like a Dura block. Like I said, this is just one brand. I'm not advertising for anybody. I'm just showing simply what I use. And I don't have any sandpaper on it right now. I actually cleaned it down with lacquer thinner because I was starting to get a heavy buildup. But as you can see, it forms the shape of the fender. So say if I just got done putting my Dura glass on it, I leveled it down with my angle grinder. Now I got some 60 grit on here. I got my shape, and now I'm just going to town. Taking down the high, and then I'll have like a guide coat down here. And once I start hitting my low, and my edges start feathering, then I know I'm pretty close. Then I'll go up to, say, 100. So I'll slap some 100 on here, and then I'll start feathering even more. And just feather that out. Get it to where I have no more high, my low's gone. Then I'll take myself and put some glaze on there, because you'll find you'll have a lot of imperfections with the Bondo glass or Dura glass, whatever you're using. Like I said, there's a lot of brands out there, but you'll have a lot of imperfections because it's a really coarse, rigid type of filler. So then you're going to go over it with some like poly glaze or glaze and putty, and you want to use a 2-part. It just cures a lot faster and makes a lot quicker work for you. So pretty much I use a Dura poly glaze made by Custom Shop is what you see here, and then once that's on there, I just keep on working it, go in different directions, work it, and take it right down to your low, and you'll start seeing all your edges feather out, and you'll know once you're level because you're using a long block. So you're not going to go any lower as long as your pressure points are correct. You're not going to go any lower than your lowest low. So you just work it until you get with what you see. And sometimes it might take you putting on another coat, maybe 2, maybe 3. Sometimes it takes me even 4 coats before I achieve something I'm happy with. You can use your hand, but a nice clean piece of paper towel gives you a nice glide surface. So, and you just feel it. If you feel any ripples or any lows or any transition of where your filler has been feathered out, you got to keep working it. And you'll feel what you can't see. It might look real good, and then you feel it, and you feel some waviness. Like this is really good. I actually still have a little bit of a low spot there. I don't think you'll ever see it, at least on this car. I might still touch that real quick. Right here I have a little low. But yeah, it'll show up, guys. If you can feel it, you're going to see it. So keep working it. Okay guys, another thing, once you get to your edges, like you see I had a real low spot right here, and I wanted to get a nice transition because this body gets wider as it goes back. And I'm not really sure if you can notice that from here, but when you get to your edges, just take and put some masking tape here, and sometimes it wouldn't hurt to just open the door up and just do your edges real good. And if you have anything overhanging, knock that all down, because you're going to see all that stuff, guys. So pay attention to detail, and if you have any filler that went over your edge, just take and level it. You can use your block. You can use a flat block for that. Works good. Just get in there and just true that up, and then just roll your edges with some finer stuff. This is another spot. Like these are the little body lines and curvatures that you got to pay attention to, because it's all going to show up when you paint it. Like right here was my door handle, somewhere in this area. I can't even tell where it was, to be honest with you. I think it was somewhere like right around here. But anyways, as you can see how far out I came, because around the perimeter where that handle was, it wasn't the same height. So even like an inch out was set down, not quite a 16th, but in the thousandths. It kind of slowly came up, probably from when it was stamped. It probably got set in a little bit. But as you can see, with your block, that's where that door block comes in, like I demonstrated on the front. Right here, it kind of tails out. It starts getting wider, and your back end of your car kind of fans out, and it starts getting wider in the back. And you can see it starts on this door. So right there's another curvature you got to keep in mind, especially since I was working that close. I had to work and fan that in. So it's just little things like that you got to pay attention to, and just give it time. It takes time, and it'll work out for you guys. All right, I'm gonna go take a break.